Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Happy Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our midweek breaking US and world news video. Before I begin, let me say thank you very much to those of you that entered to win one of the 2 solar generators from my Prime Day video. And that video is still very relevant because Prime Week is not really Prime Day anymore. It's still going on with most of the vendors that do business with the AP community. So if you have not taken a look at that video, ladies and gentlemen, go take a look at it, at the very least to do a little bit of window shopping, because the prices on Prime Day or Prime Week are probably the best of the entire year. Now let's get started with this video. And ladies and gentlemen, go watch that video. It's very easy to enter to win one of 2 solar generators that we are going to be giving away that were donated by OUPES. They donated 3 to me to give away, but I made an executive decision to give one away to someone that I know really needs it, that's retired from the military and can really use one. But anyways, there's a chance to win 2 of them, and all you have to do is just follow the very simple instructions on that video. Easy peasy. Now, before we get on to the news, we're going to talk a little bit about how this crisis here was averted. But first I want to talk to you about something that I've talked about a long time ago. There was a time when someone asked me, and this was years ago, and I wish I would have clipped this out. I always say that, but I never do. This was years ago. Someone asked me, they said, AP, when are things going to get the worst in the United States of America? Like, when is the S really going to hit the F, right? And I don't think we're going to turn into like a Mad Max type of a society, right? But I think that we're going to turn into a third world country status. But to answer that question directly, when do I think things will get the worst? And they were looking for a time. I remember back answering this question, and those of you that are OGs that have been here for a long time, you'll remember saying exactly what I'm going to say now. I said it's going to be at the end of 2024 going into 2025. We're going to have a lot of turbulence in our country, and you better be prepared by then for more than one thing. For violence, you know, make sure you have security, make sure that you have a bug out bag, make sure that you have your finances in order, make sure that you will have preserved your wealth, which we're going to be talking about for a few seconds today, because the sponsor of this video is Genesis Gold Group. And pretty much, ladies and gentlemen, that the fabric of society is going to break down within our nation. Why is that? I still stand by the reason I gave before. Because when a government stands on pillars of a foundation that is founded on immoral acts and bad money, eventually that foundation will turn into sand. It can't stand that long. And our government's foundation has been tumbling and wavering and shaking for a long time now. Be prepared to be without power. Not because necessarily of a cyber attack, but because there may be brownouts. Why? Because the money is bad. Whether 45 becomes 47 or not, I believe that he will. We are going to have very tough times. Now think about this. They tried to censor 45 and that didn't work, right? Then they tried their best to put him behind bars, and that only made him more popular among his people. And then once those first 2 things didn't work, they tried to take him out, and that didn't work and made him even more popular amongst his people, that now even CNN, I believe, is saying that he has no chances of losing, that he can only win. What do you think is going to happen after he takes office? Because those enemies of humanity that have been fighting against 45 for all of these years, they're still here. And they are very angry that they have not gotten their way. And they do pull the levers. And here, when we go on, I'm going to show you something that tells me that maybe there's a little bit of negotiation going back and forth. Because even one of those demons that's part of the problem of the United States of America, making the money bad, is being considered to be part of the government should 45 become 47, or when he does. Ladies and gentlemen, get prepared for what's coming, because it doesn't matter how much you say, oh, AP, stop fear-mongering. Would you rather be ready 10 years too early, or start getting ready 1 minute too late? Or let me go ahead and pull another one out of my hat. Here you go. Here's another one. Can you afford for me to be right? Ladies and gentlemen, can you afford not to be prepared and for me to be right? Everyone in the world can afford for me to be wrong. I hope I am wrong, that we don't ever have to prep. Everyone can afford for me to be wrong, but can you afford for me to be right? And how easy is it for you to get off your bum and just put away some sustenance? Just take a little bit of your excess wealth, I'm not a financial advisor, and put it away in real money. That way it will be there for you when you need it. More importantly, that it will be there for your family when they need it. That is your duty. Your duty, ladies and gentlemen, if you are the head of the household, is to ensure that your family is taken care of. Disaster averted, ladies and gentlemen, and not even that many people were involved in this evacuation. But I like to point these out every once in a while to allow you to see that even though you're in the minority, that you may be the one affected. So never say, this can't happen where I live, because it doesn't have to be a flood. It doesn't have to be a dam. It can be anything. Just use your imagination. After heavy rains, an overtopped dam forces Nashville, Illinois to be evacuated. Let's see. After extensive rain on Monday night, Nashville, Illinois dam overtopped, forcing the evacuation of only about 200 people. But again, could that be you? First responders rescued at least one resident from her home. And to finish this off real quick, they say here pretty much that the immediate danger to those areas have been managed. But the point is this: make sure you're prepared, even for these little things. I'm not trying to scare you into preparing for the end of the world, ladies and gentlemen, but I do want you to take into consideration being prepared for anything that may happen in your area, and also for any systemic problems that may occur within our nation and our world, that you would probably benefit from having long-term preps as well. And I have to say that I agree with Mr. Ron Paul, the champion of the Constitution, when he says this is why we'll never know what really happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, referring to the attempted assassination of number 45. And here it says that former Navy SEAL and founder of Blackwater, Eric Prince, claims that, quote, the fact that the Secret Service allowed a rifled armed shooter within 150 yards to a pre-planned event is either malice or massive incompetence. Either or, they should resign, whoever was in charge of that detail, and in my opinion, the head of that organization as well. He went on to observe that unaccountable, bloated bureaucracies continue to fail us as Americans, adding that unserious and unworthy people in positions of authority got us to this near disaster. And it would have been a disaster, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you how much God just bailed the world out of a major disaster should 45 had been taken out. Thank God that he wasn't. Our world would have been completely different today should that happen, and not for the better. Trust me, not for the better. Those of you that wish that this would have been carried through are sick, and you really shouldn't even be here. So if right now you're telling yourself, yeah, I wish that would have happened, I wish that the round would have made its mark, go away, unsubscribe, don't come here again, because I would not wish this upon anyone. Even the person that's in office now, I think, is destroying this country. I wouldn't wish it upon him. Why? Because it's disgusting to think that way. Don't get me started, ladies and gentlemen. I have to keep my blood pressure down. Let's see, where was I? Merit and execution must be the only deciding factors in hiring and in leadership, not the social engineering priority of the day. I haven't heard truer words in a while. Merit and execution. Can you do the job that you're applying for? Are you hiring people that are worthy of this job because of their merit and not because of their race, creed, color, age, gender, etc.? Stop being stupid. Hire people that can do the job and that can do the job right. You know what? Let's take a 30-second break so I can calm down. Let's say thank you very much to the sponsor of this video, Genesis Gold Group. I'm not a financial advisor, but the folks at Genesis Gold Group specialize in helping those who want to diversify their excess wealth by converting their fiat currency retirement plans into a plan that is backed by real money. So if you're in a position where you are wondering what you can do in order to diversify or insulate your wealth against what I like to call the inferno of inflation, give Genesis Gold Group a call, and they can provide you with the information that you need in order to make an educated decision. Here they say that video has emerged showing that for at least 2 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, 2 minutes is a very long time. Law enforcement knew someone with a rifle was on the roof aiming at the former president, and no one communicated the need to pull him from the stage. You can hear the crowd warning law enforcement that someone was on the roof. And I could hear too, when I saw those videos on the replay, I could hear people saying, "Hey, there's a guy on the roof." I'm like, oh my goodness. Yet he was unhindered until the first shot rang out. And this here, I believe, is the most important part of this article. And by the way, I always leave the links to these articles on a pinned comment. So on today's pinned comment, you're going to see the sponsor of this video's link and phone number. You're also going to see a link to the Prime Day video that I put out, and you'll see the link to all of these stories that I've covered today. We shouldn't count on hearing the truth about the attempted assassination from the mainstream media. Absolutely not, ladies and gentlemen, because according to CNN and some of the other places, they're like, oh, they had to rush the president off the stage because he fell, right? Oh, there were loud noises. Come on now. Come on, man. Do you really trust the mainstream media? By now, you should not trust the mainstream media. We live in an empire of lies propped up by the mainstream media, and that is the truth. And seeking the truth in this empire of lies is the greatest challenge for us in the moral bankruptcy in which we live. And that, ladies and gentlemen, how can you disagree with that? The moral bankruptcy with which we live. Take a look at what our government does with our money. They send it to other nations so that they can, plug up their borders while our border is completely empty. They send it to other nations so that they can feed their people while we have people here going hungry. They send it to other nations so that they can pay their military while we have here veterans that are homeless, etc., etc. The list just goes on and on. And when even CNN admits that 45 will become 47, it's pretty much a done deal. We just have to get them to the finish line alive, I guess. CNN admits Trump on course for landslide win. CNN John King highlighted Tuesday how Donald Trump is on course for a historic landslide victory in November and could get as nearly as 330 electoral votes. Only 270 are needed to win. That's kind of funny how in today's era or time, they have to put only 270 are needed to win. When I was in middle school, I knew how many electoral votes were needed to win the presidency of the United States. But now I bet you most people don't even know what an electoral vote is. And that's one of the problems with society today. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I don't blame people that are ignorant 100%. There is a point in life where you should wake up. And that's usually when you start paying taxes. So sooner or later, everyone wakes up. It takes time. That's why I don't blame everyone that is ignorant as to what goes on. In addition to that, I don't blame a lot of people because they were lied to a lot by the education system. Most people don't even know what 7 continents there are in the world. And let me go ahead and pose this question for you, ladies and gentlemen. Here it says, it's a very narrow path for Joe Biden. He has essentially one, maybe 2 narrow paths to 270. What do you think would happen if he wins again? I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but get prepared, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever way it goes, it's going to be chaos. And thank goodness that DEI policies are failing because more and more companies are leaving them behind. I hope that the same happens with ESG and that more and more companies will rapidly go ahead and say, we don't need ESG, we don't need any of these social governance things that you guys are trying to push on us from the UN and unelected private organization, ladies and gentlemen, so you can keep it to yourselves. Let's use our no muscle as a country, but it does start with our companies. It says here, he did it again. Robbie Starbucks' anti-woke crusade results in Deere pulling back on DEI policies. No longer will they be funding pride parades. Business resources groups will no longer be divided on identity lines. Imagine that, doing business with people according to how they identify or whatever. Can't you just do business with someone that needs a tractor? And that's it. That's all you need to know. Do you need a tractor? Hey, we build some of the best tractors in the world. Unfortunately, I don't think it's still here in the U.S. Is John Deere still built here in the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen? Leave it in the comments. Let's see. Audit all training material to ensure the absence of socially motivated messages. That's part of ESG. Great. Get rid of that stuff. Let's go back to being America, to being a business that wants to produce the very best product that can be made by American hands. We will be coming back to a manufacturing base here in the United States. But ladies and gentlemen, everyone thinks it's going to be great. When we come back to being a manufacturing country, we will be a lot poorer than what we are now. Even if you're poor, you will notice the difference. Our standard of living will go down because we are not going to have money to borrow like we borrow money now in order to keep up our standard of living. We will no longer be able to keep up with the Joneses, ladies and gentlemen. So get prepared now, because whether you like it or not, that is where we are headed. No hiring quotas or pronoun uses. Goodness gracious, thank you, Lord. That's what should be like for every business out there. We don't need this stuff. We really don't. If we can go by a person's character and a person's merit and their qualifications, that's all you need in order to hire good into a business. That's my opinion, but I stand by that. I think I'm right when I say that. Do you own a business out there? Any of you out there own a business? Do you hire because someone can do the job or because someone falls in this category? Leave it in the comments. I'm not going to read through this entire article at all. I'm just going to concentrate on the title. And this is really somewhat depressing. Trump reveals key pillars of Trumponomics. Low taxes, great. Low taxes, great, ladies and gentlemen. Sky-high tariffs, I don't agree with, because I do believe that it is we the people that pay for tariffs. Okay? Go ahead and argue it all you want. Who pays that tariff? Right? When you put 100% tariff on something coming into the nation, who pays that tariff? Maybe we should just say, hey, listen, let's just bring our manufacturing back and let competition work. Let the free market work the way it's supposed to work. If I make a gadget right here in the United States of America, I should be able to make the very best gadget in the world. And I should be able to charge my customers that which allows me to make a living and allows my customers to afford a gadget that is the very best in the world. But if some other country that trades with us, that freely trades with us, wants to make that same gadget, let them make it. Let the market decide which one is best. Right? I understand about protectionism and stuff like that. And once we do start having to manufacture our own things again, because our dollar will be a lot worth less than what it is now, then maybe tariffs at first will be necessary in order for us to be stabilized. But then I would hope that little by little, they will go away, because tariffs only hurt the consumer by making the prices higher. Okay, anyways, Powell not fired. I think they should get rid of the Federal Reserve day one, right? Listen to this. Powell not fired. I've heard so many times in the last several years, yeah, when Trump comes back, he's going to get rid of the Federal Reserve. It's going to be intertwined with the Treasury, and that way the Federal Reserve is completely out of it, and blah, blah, blah. Powell not fired, meaning that there is going to be a Federal Reserve. We may see a Secretary Dimon from JP Morgan, I believe it is, considers Jamie Dimon to serve as Secretary of the Department of the Treasury. Like I said, just get ready and stay ready. Things aren't going to change overnight, no matter who's behind the desk. In my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, this person and what he does, his job title, the things that go on where he works or where he manages, is a cancer upon our nation and the world. When you give someone, especially a private entity, control over your money's worth, you know what they're giving you control over? Or excuse me, you know what they're giving them control over? Over the value of your labor. If someone gets to determine what your money is worth from day to day, then they can determine what the value of your labor is, of what your hours are. And in my opinion, that is complete theft of your most important right, which is your personal property. And yeah, I know that he's not considering Jamie Dimon for Fed chair or anything like that, but for Treasury Secretary, This guy has been part of an organization that has been sued and convicted several times of felonies for spoofing the market, for messing around with the precious metals market. I mean, just look it up. All you have to do is look it up, ladies and gentlemen, Google it. And this is the person they're appointing to their Treasury. Renewed rate cut hopes spark modest rebound in housing starts permits in June. Don't really want to talk about the housing starts, but it's being said that probably sometime around September, they're going to start bringing rates down. If you are in a fixed income, if you are a wage earner, if you trade your hours for dollars, right, you are going to lose once interest rates start to go back down. Why is that? Because it's going to make your dollars worth less. You will see inflation pop its head out again, and in a bigger way than it did before. Why am I telling you this? Because there's nothing that you can do about these rate hikes or rate cuts, excuse me. Nothing you can do about it. That's up to the Fed. We have no control of the Fed. So am I telling you? Because you need to prepare. Because today, I'm not a financial advisor, that silver dime that you buy today that could probably buy you a loaf of bread, that same silver dime, when converted to whatever currency it is that we end up with in the future, will still buy you that same loaf of bread, right? Or the same amount. Even if you put away a silver dime every single time you get paid, let's say 2 silver dimes every time you get paid, which should be about $4 to $5. That's about 50 silver dimes a year, ladies and gentlemen. Better than nothing. You can do it. All you have to do is be disciplined to every time you get paid, go to that coin shop and buy yourself a couple silver dimes, or really whatever it is that you can afford for that month. And Donald Trump has selected a hillbilly for vice president. Republicans have nominated a hillbilly for vice president. This is by his own admission. Haven't really heard of this gentleman, but the things that I've heard of him after he was selected, I guess, are pretty good. We'll just have to see. I think that vice president is probably the most important pick that Trump could make, especially with what happened the last time with the vice president that he picked prior. So hopefully this guy will work out. But ladies and gentlemen, let me keep on reminding you that in the end, no one will be coming to rescue you. In the end, even if 45 is in office and he implements everything that he wants to implement, we will have a major crash, whether you like it or not. It doesn't matter whether you want to hear that or not. That's what's going to happen, because mathematics does not lie. So prepare yourselves for everything that you can. We can make it through this era in time towards the next one. It's not that far away. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.